future of the EU in economic and political terms remains still in the balance, not just for Greece, but for everywhere. I mean, for example, in the United Kingdom, we have great difficulties with the present relationship with Europe and wish to renegotiate many of the terms and the expenses of belonging to the European community. If you take Greece specifically, I'm not sure. It's a real problem to be integrated into the rest of Europe at a time of great economic stress. I mean, you've got here very high unemployment, and that induces social unrest. The kind of classical way of dealing with that problem, of course, is to devalue. That's impossible if you belong to the European community. So I think a change in that relationship with Europe for Greece and for many of the other countries will be needed. And the question is, will the reforms take place from within Europe? And if they don't, then there's a risk that the community in its present form will break up. It's all to play for.
Namely, in earlier times, it was easier to control 1 million people. Literally, it was easier to control 1 million people than physically to kill 1 million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people.
I write books for all boys and girls, my students who will shape their future worlds. That's the purpose I travel the earth for. International institutions I work for. Little by little we unveil the crime. Revelation of the method will come in due time. Meantime, sit close to your TV while we manufacture your fake reality. I'll put my plans in a song, and as I destroy your way of life, I'll make you sing along. Educated well within your paradigm, but you have no clue you're a slave to maritime. Even if you think outside the bubble, I bet you've been convinced that I'm deeply troubled. Cause I said that on a CFR clip, but I hold all power with the superstar grip. Z-Big.
You and I both know Bill Clinton gave Arafat and the Palestinians everything they could have
such a stunningly superficial knowledge of what went on that it's almost embarrassing to listen to you.
Pay attention to the glamour and the glitz if you want your world to keep spinning. Don't ask ridiculous questions to my minions. We molded your every opinion. You will cheer even if your team isn't winning. Very soon we will give you implantable chip to insert in your neck like an animal. Psychological, that is just part one. Then we use real big microwave harp gun. Z-Big, rock your bell. I should be arrested, investigated, and locked in a cell with no windows and caca on the wall. Forced to drink raccoon piss through a straw. Instead, I've been instructing your president. He'll be dead if he doesn't take his medicine. I groomed him for the job in Chicago. I got more connect than the mob. Anybody with half a brain should know that. I created Al-Qaeda for their blowback.
Psychopath extraordinaire. It's so easy.
Literally.
To murder 1 million.
To kill 1 million people.
Innocent people.
Literally.
Helpless children.
Today, it is infinitely easier.
I'm democratic response to Hank Kissinger. Not quite as famous, but a bit more shiftier. Helping you enjoy your paradigm fantasia. I engineered the domination of Eurasia. I must not tell lie when media asks why several million people must die. We will do whatever we deem clever to prevent the barbarians coming together. Cutting edge technology of the season. Manipulate emotion, control all reason. Z-Big Niv, not Z-Big News. That's Mr. Psycho to you. Disappear you quicker than I order pizza. You don't believe me? Ask my daughter Mika.
Americans know that Israel and the United States share common values, that we defend common interests, that we face common enemies. Iran's leaders know that too. You're the great Satan, we're the little Satan. For them, we are you and you are us. And you know something, Mr. President? At least on this last point, I think they're right. You're the great Satan, we're the little Satan.
Smash your teeth in, whore. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm out of control.
The RMB situation, you mentioned a so-called currency problem. I mean, do you see the day in the next 5 years where it's fully convertible and flexible?
Well, you're talking to a person who's quite old. If I'm around in 5 years, I'd like to think that that is the case. I think we've all got to move towards that opportunity, and I think the challenge also is whether we should move towards an international currency, because the speculation and the complexity of currency has caused some of the irritation, not only among the trading nations, but among individuals. But it's not for me to say how it will happen, but I think everyone who knows how to deal with these situations is very cognizant of the problem it takes to get over it, and I think the RMB will become more convertible. But when it'll come, that is a matter for, obviously, the powers that be.
I want to just change tack slightly. Of course, China's seen, central China, parts of central China, have seen the worst drought that they've had in many decades. Now, you've got this investment with your wife in Weather Central. How could that actually help out in terms of planning for things such as droughts?
Well, I think, first of all, we have 25 broadcast clients currently in China, and we are the #1 provider of broadcast weather graphic solutions in the country. I mean, you had this downpour, I believe, in the last 24 hours, which has caused even people losing their lives, and situations like this. With the detail that we can put up through the technology that we give to the various weather stations, this makes people more aware of it. On the whole, it's a question of giving the opportunity. I mean, we have also launched an operation called My Weather, which gains access to the first truly personalized weather application for the web and mobile devices. You can go up on myweather.com and you can find out within a kilometer of where you are what is going to happen to the weather. It also gives a 10-day forecast. I think we've got to be aware that we're living in a time, I'm not going to get into the subject, which is a huge subject of climate change, but we do have variations of all sorts around the world. Certainly in England we have very precarious weather. We've had a drought up until about 10 days ago. And I think it is important to realize that you can use technology, which is offered by myweather.com, to tell you and be aware of what might happen to you, especially among the farming community. Also, we are very interested in helping wind power because it gives them... Sorry?
Sir Evelyn, we're just running out of time, but I wanted to thank you for stepping into our offices there in Beijing. Thank you very much indeed, Sir Evelyn.
Well, I'm very honored that you gave me the opportunity, and I thank you very much.